In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
we are live from the Warner's Southwest Motorhome and Campervan show in Shepton Mallet for a full audience Q&A episode.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans, and it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com.
Now, please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast app and make sure you click subscribe on our YouTube channel, brought to you by arabasecreative.co.uk.
Let's dive in, shall we, for this episode, because it's a bit here and it's a bit there. Stay tuned, you'll find out. Product feature, our product of the week. Woo! What is it?
It's very exciting this week. I've got my little boxes under the desk, look. These are gas regulators. So we get an increasing number of people asking us for help and advice on choosing a gas regulator. The colour have caused lots of chaos in our industry.
Colour chaos.
Yeah, that's what we call it, the colour chaos. With the drop in kind of propane and the little butane bottles, it meant lots of people had to change their regulator because they were changing the gas they were using on the van. So we thought, right, let's stock up on these. And we have bought hundreds of these little regulators. And all the team at That Leisure Shop are clued up on which one you need.
So just for people who don't know, the bottle... the bit that you screw it onto, that tells you what regulator you need, doesn't it?
Correct. And annoyingly, every different type of gas bottle needs a different type of regulator.
And this is where we can help.
So the first thing is that a propane gas regulator is left-handed thread. This always confuses people. We've got loads of these. This goes on the end of your pigtail of your motorhome or caravan or even your barbecue. And you can use the LPG red bottle for a barbecue. And it has a hand wheel. So if the gas runs out or when the gas runs out, you can undo it without the need for a spanner. Brilliant. We love these. We've got loads of these in stock. They are very handy.
Same when you do your strimmer. You do your strimmer, you know, you're bzzz on the grass.
Or you've got a gas-powered strimmer.
No. People undo the where you put the
string.
That is a left hand.
It is a left-handed
And you see
thread.
people struggling with it, trying to get it undone.
That's true, actually.
But it's the opposite way.
Well, gas is always left-handed thread, because I remember once asking someone years ago, why is it left-handed thread? Gas fittings are always left-handed, so they can't be confused with water or any other kind of flow that's going through a pipe.
That means when you screw it up, it's not clockwise, it's anti-clockwise.
It's lefty-righty, the other one.
So when you're unscrewing it, it's as if you're screwing, you get it.
A left-handed thread. And then, of course, lots of people that were using the small propane bottle or the small butane bottle, Cala discontinued that, so they had to change to camping gas, which is the most expensive gas you'll ever buy. It's a French product, and there's the camping gas regulator, screws in the top of the bottle. So if you have to change to camping gas, you've got to change your regulator. We've got loads of these in stock as well. And then very quickly, I've just bought a new barbecue, and it is amazing. It's a fantastic barbecue. And it came, annoyingly, with a patio gas regulator. Now, patio gas has the red handles, and they're green bottles, and they're two sizes, 5 and 13 kilo, and they have a gauge on. Really handy. So you can tell how much gas is in there. And it's always much more expensive than propane, the red bottle. And I've noticed that Cala are delivering to us green bottles that the paint's chipped, and underneath it's a red bottle. And I asked them the question, how are you managing to do that? Do you know what? It's a premium price because it's considered a leisure product.
I see.
It's exactly the same inside the bottle, but patio gas comes with a clip-on regulator, as the butane bottles, the big butane bottles. This is a patio gas regulator, and it clips on, but you're going to pay a premium for patio gas, simply because you're using it with a barbecue in the garden, and Cala have the view that you can charge more for it, so they do. So you could change to a cheaper red propane bottle, the same as you probably are using on your motorhome.
So if you're using propane or butane, what's the difference?
The difference is the temperature at which it freezes. So propane will stay liquid until minus 28, whereas butane will freeze at 0 degrees.
Right, so you can use
propane all winter.
In winter.
Butane will freeze. That's the big difference. There's lots of, frankly, myths about how quickly it burns, how hot it burns. I'm told by Cala that you'd have to burn an awful lot for a very long time before you notice that. It's just not true. So I am using propane and butane on my barbecue, but you should be using propane in your motorhome because that's what the regulator's designed to do.
So if you want your Christmas dinner on your barbecue, you use propane.
Yes, absolutely, in the winter. Yeah, very good point. So, and then this is a butane regulator.
Which freezes at 0 degrees.
Which freezes at 0 degrees, but it comes with a, look at this, it's got what's called a manometer.
That's the thing, it's the meter.
It's a level gauge. So like a gas stop, which is the safety device I love and I go on about, this has a manometer on it, which tells you how much pressure is left in the bottle. Really useful for any butane bottle. It's very hard to measure propane accurately because it's a dynamic thing. It's expanding and contracting because it's trying to measure the pressure in the bottle. There are gauges that do manage to do it, but it is very difficult to measure it accurately. But if you're stuck on this, then contact us at That Leisure Shop and the team will love to help you and supply you with the right regulators. There you are.
How much do they cost?
They start around £10. Remember, use the discount code Motorhome Matt at thatleisureshop.com and get 10% off. So $10.99 upwards.
There you go. That's our product of the week. Right, Matt, are we ready to head to the show? Because we are going off to Shepton Mallet, aren't we?
We're off there, my lover.
3. I was just doing the countdown.
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. Wow.
That was awesome. Let's never do that clicky thing ever again, though.
Oh, no, I'm up for the clicky thing.
It was terrible.
I love the clicky.
Come on.
I love the clicky thing.
We're running late.
Are we?
It's that way. Let's go.
Is it? Oh.
Thank you all very much for coming. Have you all got a question? We could be here some time.
Hands up who's got a question. 1.
Quite a few.
They're just outside to the left.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do is we'll kick it off with a couple of questions that we've got sort of stock, just in case nobody had any questions, and then we'll open it up to you in the audience. Now, have we got a microphone? We have for people.
Yeah.
So just like question time, when we point at you, wait for the microphone to get to you before you start asking. In that way, you'll be recorded and we'll all be recorded, and we won't have to do things twice.
Indeed, yeah. So we are going to try and frame this as if it's a podcast. Is anybody here listen to the podcast or watch it on YouTube? Yes.
Oh,
so
good.
This is Kevin. We've let him out for the day.
Don't you mean Chris?
He's going, or Chris. He's going away again tonight. He's out on licence. So we are going to try and record the whole thing as if it's the podcast. So when we ask you to cheer, would you give us a cheer? Should we practice? On 3, will you give us a big cheer? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay! No, come on, I said a big cheer. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Brilliant, that's great. And keep it a bit longer.
Do it one more time.
And longer. Ready? 3. Yay! Love it.
We don't have to do that. It's just that everywhere you go where there's a live audience, people get you to do that, don't they? I don't know why.
We don't know why at all.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Goodham.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights, expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans, and it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com.
Woohoo! And today there it is, the cheer, unrehearsed. Today we are coming live from the Southwest Motorhome and Campervan show at Shepton Mallet. Yay! And we're joined by a massive audience who are delighted to be here.
Yay! That's all the cheering. Okay, so we're cheered out now. So we just want to know who is listening from the people in the room here, so we can gauge the room. So if you could just give us a hands up. Who owns a motorhome?
Ooh. Most of them.
Caravan?
1.
Campervan. Ah, yes. Oh, well. That's mostly motorhomes.
Does anyone not own anything that you can sleep or go to the toilet in? On the road? Yeah, a few. Are you here to buy one? Yes, they are. Excited. Right, okay.
How many motorhomers does it take to change a light bulb?
What's change?
Did you get it? Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right then.
No
Let's
cheer
get
for that
stuck
one.
in, shall we? This is question and answers, Q&As. If you listen or watch the podcast, you'll know it's a very popular part. It's a great way of engaging with people who listen and watch, and it allows us to take the temperature of what you want to hear. So first of all, we have got a gentleman called Tim Allen.
Hello Matt, I wonder if you can help me. My name's Tim, I'm the proud owner of a Consort motorhome, which is a panel van conversion on a Fiat Ducato Maxi, 6.4 metres long. Just used SV Tech, who've been excellent, to uprate my vehicle from 3.5 tonnes to 3.9, because I'm concerned that when I'm fully loaded with all the food, water and all the rest of it, we're at least close to the limit and almost certainly over, and we're off to France soon, and I don't want to get tugged by the gendarmes. So we went ahead with SV Tech, who've done all the paperwork, very happy, but it now appears that the DVLA have changed the rules around the taxation. Originally, one of the incentives for uprating a vehicle was that you could get a reduction in the road tax from something like 320 down to about 165. Bit odd, being a heavier vehicle and paying less road tax, but it was a nice incentive to get the job done. Now seems that DVLA are not doing that, and it will still attract the original 320 quid road tax, which I'm a bit miffed about. I would have done the process anyway, because it's more important to be legal than to save on the road tax, but this arbitrary change in the rules is annoying. Can you confirm if that is actually the case, and if there's any way of protesting it or representing the DVLA that this needs changing? Thanks very much.
So there you go, that's a question from Tim Allen, the co-presenter here on the Motorhome Matt podcast. Is there somebody coming in?
Someone's joining us late, wants to sit down. Come and grab a seat. Brilliant. So Tim, thanks for your question. You are quite right. The DVLA have changed the rules on this, and if you up plates, they are now no longer refunding the road tax. We have an episode coming out on Monday where the same question was asked. It's coming out in the future, and I was not aware of this when it was recorded 2 weeks ago. So if you listen next week, I go, well, try sawing it and try again, see what happens. This is hot off the press.
Were you wrong?
I was not wrong. I'm not going to give you that. But I didn't know about this reality. This has literally just changed in the last week or two since we recorded the episode that comes out next week. So the DVLA are currently changing their priorities around reweighting and refunding road tax. So if your motorhome was registered at 3.5 tonnes and you later upplate it, you should save money on the road tax. You won't be. You will still continue paying 325. So if that's you, be mindful that change has currently happened. Loads of us are campaigning with the DVLA, including SV Tech, to try and get this change back. So we'll see what happens.
So will Tim get his money back?
Not at the moment, not at the moment, not until something changes. So we're campaigning to a parliament level with SV Tech to try and get the DVLA to change their minds on this decision.
Okay, Andy Stevenson's asked us a question about a tag axle.
Hi Matt, my name's Andy. I'm on the verge of buying a Contiki, the big tag axle one, and I've been hearing rumours about a lot of the campsites in France and Spain are turning away or not accepting the tag axle motorhome. Can you find any light on that for us? Thanks very much.
First of all,
Hi
Matt.
Matt, my name.
He's finished.
First of all, Matt, what's a tag axle?
So that's a motorhome with 3 axles. So that's a lazy axle at the rear. So 6 wheels, 3 on each side. And generally they're over 8 metres long. Anyone here got a tag axle motorhome? Yes, I know there's a few of you in the room. So I've not heard this at all. This has not been my understanding or experience. The only thing I would add is that a tag axle motorhome is often not welcomed on a campsite, because when you turn, the back wheel can drag in the grass and wreck the grass. So a lot of campsites don't like them for 2 reasons, that and also they are exceptionally long and they struggle to house them. So my suggestion to Andy and to you, if you've got a tag axle, is ring ahead to the campsite, Google it and check that you are going to be welcome with your 3rd axle.
What is tag axle in French then?
Axel le tag. I have no idea.
And Spanish?
No idea.
Anybody got an idea? Any fluent? No. Okay. We're going to open up the floor to some questions, so get thinking. Anything that you want to know about? See if we can catch out Matt. Peter Close is in Solihull.
That's one to read.
Oh.
You going to read it?
Hang on a second. Peter Close is in Solihull. I shall read his question, shall I? Love the podcast, he says. You're doing a great job of informing us motorhomers. I'm just a little concerned. We have also just got back from a 3-week trip to the Outer Hebrides and loved it. We then travelled on to Skye, and the number of cars and motorhomes spoiled it. So we left early, and of course the irony is we were part of the problem. My plea is play down the Outer Hebrides. The beauty, tranquility and variable weather made for a fantastic and memorable trip. We just wanted to keep it to ourselves. That's from Peter, he says, his tongue firmly in his cheek. Well, the thing is, Matt, you know, the local press, they're all owned by big companies now. And so you see one story from Exmouth and, you know, it gets run again in Birmingham and vice versa. And they all share stories. And I have noticed a lot of bad press directed towards motorhomers and caravanners when it comes to stopping at car parking or going to places of outstanding natural beauty like the Outer Hebrides. So while he's being jokey, there is a very serious side to this.
There is a really serious side. I would love to tell you the Outer Hebrides are rubbish and don't go, but I can't. I've just done 2 weeks there earlier this year. If you listen to the podcast, you'll know we got 2 weeks on Lewis, Harris and Skye, and it was amazing. Has anybody been to the Outer Hebrides? Yes, anybody planning a trip there? A couple of you, yeah, it's amazing. I would go again as well. East Harris is out of this world. Skye, less keen. The potholes are like playing some kind of computer game where you're dodging them. It is horrendous. The roads are horrible. And we are part of the problem that's caused that because there's so much traffic. They'll get, it's anticipated over 1 million people visiting, or 1 million vehicles visiting the island, I think that I read, next year. And that is a massive multiple of the people that live there. So yeah, we are a huge problem to the roads, and there's not the funding. Let's see if this tourism tax is introduced. But there are lots of issues where motorhomes are getting a bad press, and it's very frustrating. It's a minority, of course, Keith, that are causing the problem. It's like dog walkers. I used the example earlier, chatting to someone. It's always a minority of dog walkers that leave the poo in the field, isn't it? For the rest of us, we walk our dog, we pick it up and pick theirs up. But if a few do it, everyone's banned, and it's the same with motorhoming. So how we fix it, I don't know, education.
Well, and we do seem to have quite a lot of local people who want to talk to their local press, no matter where it is in the country, to say they've seen somebody emptying some dirty water by the side of the road, or say they've seen somebody taking up 2 parking spaces when they shouldn't be, or staying overnight where they shouldn't be. So what are we going to do about it? What's the PR we can all take part in order to kill off this negative press, which is building?
And that's the problem. It's the media that are kind of fueling it, and they're kind of feeding every opportunity for a story, because let's face it, bad news sells papers, doesn't it? It sells column inches. So I think it's about education from us. We have to be good ambassadors. In fact, we have to be great ambassadors. Go and litter pick when you stop somewhere. If you see dog poo, pick it up. Be a great ambassador to the locals that see you doing that and think, wow, that's not my normal experience. That's not what I read about in The Sun. So yeah, we have to be ambassadors. We have to educate other motorhomers and councils. It's a big task ahead.
And of course, there's quite a few councils now which are giving facilities to motorhomers and caravanners, overnights in car parks, providing the ability to get rid of grey water on their stay, and doing it for a reasonable price. Shouldn't councils, when they have their little get-togethers like we are here, be talking to each other about this?
Well, I'd love to think they would. I don't know if they do. I doubt they do. We've actually invited our own councillor for North Somerset. Mark has agreed to come on the podcast, and I want to start with his view of our world. So I want to get an insight into how he sees us and our pastime, and what challenges does that present him. In North Somerset, we have a place called Clevedon. Some of you will be local, be familiar with Clevedon Seafront, the Salt Flats, Portishead. Motorhome parking has been banned on the seafront there because reports of people dumping waste. Really? Were they? So I want to ask Mark. He's part of the reason these decisions have been taken by North Somerset Council. I want to get his view of us and see if we can change his mind, if we need to.
Has anybody here ever done anything naughty by the side of the road that they shouldn't have done? You're willing to...
You're not going to admit that, Keith. Has anybody here got a question you'd like to ask? Yes, Joe has. We get a microphone down to Joe, please, Michael. Thank you. Now, this is likely to be a trick question.
No, it's not, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, basically, if you live in a house and you're having your repairs done, electrical or gas, they are certified and registered, and obviously ombudsmen make sure everything gets done right. What have we got as protection in a motorhome if we ask for a repair to be done? Who monitors them, make sure they're regulated?
So these are the traders,
Yeah.
the technicians working on your motorhome. That's a good question. So technically anybody can. You can bring anyone in from the street to work on your motorhome because it is an unregulated industry in that sense. You can go to the Approved Workshop Scheme, the AWS, which is part of the NCC, the National Caravan Council. It's all very exciting acronyms. And the Approved Workshop Scheme is a scheme of hundreds of workshops. Some are mobile that are inspected and they have to do a training course to become AWS approved, and they are then able to work on your motorhome. And you'll get that little sticker that says you had an AWS service and the year date. That's really important if your motorhome's under manufacturer warranty.
So if you're somebody who comes and fixes your fridge and it doesn't then work afterwards?
Well, you'd have some recourse with the Approved Workshop Scheme and thus with the NCC. Whether they would do anything about it with that workshop remains to be seen. It's a kind of opt-in. These guys pay to be part of it. It's part of a marketing machine. So that's why they sign up to it. And it is a badge of honour. It's not easy to become AWS approved. And there is some training and recognition that they need to receive from the NCC. So you would have the backup of the NCC if something went wrong.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got off lightly there.
When you do ask a question, it would be really helpful if you just tell us your name and whereabouts you live. It would be great, just so we get an idea.
Joe, Shamley Green.
Joe from Shamley Green.
You don't have to apologise for anything. Anybody else want to ask a question? This lady down here.
Lily from a little village called Coombe St Nicholas, not far from Taunton. And we are planning to take our motorhome through France to Spain for January and February. And my question is about, do we need chains, snow socks, or winter tyres? What is the ruling on all of this?
Okay, so if you're going into an area where they are required, Google is your friend here, and look at the route. They are required normally from the 1st of November to the end of March, and there will be a requirement as to whether it's snow tyres or actual chains, or whether snow socks are permissible. My advice would be check before you go and check the route you're going to take. And if you're buying chains or socks, make sure you fit them and test them out before you go. I bought some and they were for a 15-inch wheel, and our motorhome had a 16-inch wheel, and I got there, tried fitting them, it was a nightmare. We were in the Pyrenees, and so I had a problem. And I did risk it, nearly got stuck, but I was doing it on regular tyres. But actually it's a legal requirement locally that you have either snow tyres or chains or socks. I've got another question here, please, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, that's a bit of an addendum to that question. I did look online about the requirements, and it's essentially all across the Pyrenees, but it appears to be down to the local communities as to whether they enforce that newer regulation of having them over that period. Is there any way that actually lists what the current status is that you know of?
I don't know. That's a very good question, because you're right. It is the local towns that are introducing the sign that warns you that snow chains are required. I would say, given that more and more towns and villages are asking for it, I'd just take a pair. They're not expensive. And just take a set of snow chains with you. And then if you find you're driving through somewhere, maybe your route's going to change and you end up driving through somewhere you didn't plan. So it seems to me at that time of year a sensible thing to take. You'll always be able to sell them second-hand on eBay. I'll probably buy them, they'll be the wrong size.
So what about your insurance? So, you know, if you go and you don't fit these things and you get stuck in the snow and you need to make a claim, how are your insurers over here going to look at you?
There's probably not an issue. The issue is probably if you have an accident and you haven't got snow chains fitted, then yeah, you might have a problem then. I can imagine an insurance company might use that as a valid reason to create a problem with your claim. Breakdown is the other thing. Would you be covered with breakdown recovery service because you got stuck in snow without having chains on? You know, it's your own fault. I mean, I'm sure they would, but the RAC will not pull you out of mud if you're stuck in mud unless you pay them. It's £250, I think. So it's not a breakdown in their eyes, it's a chargeable thing. Caravan Guard have a stuck in mud addendum in their schedule of insurance. So they will cover you in breakdown if you're stuck in mud. It's something that I love about their policy, which is quite unique to them. So yeah, I would definitely take them.
And also on the continent, breakdown services operate in a different way, don't they? It's not the same as over here.
No, so you need to make sure you've got European cover for breakdown. If you're on a main road, you're probably going to have to pay a breakdown service to take you off the road. Not necessarily, but it's probably going to be the case. It's a local recovery company that will take you off the main road into a back road, where then your UK-sourced breakdown cover will then recover you.
Yeah, and these people who take you off the main road, they are contracted, aren't they? They have a contract with the government in order to do this, to get you to somewhere which is safer, where the breakdown service can then attend to your vehicle.
And it's generally always cash. So make sure you've got euros with you.
Well, there you go. Any more questions? Oh, up the back there. Thank you. No rude jokes. The gentleman over here in the red.
Thanks very much. I'm Stephen from North Essex, little town or little village called Gosfield. I'd love to hear your views, if any, on compressor fridges versus absorption fridges in motorhomes and campervans.
Certainly. Yeah.
First of all, before we start that, Matt, can you just explain the difference between the two?
Okay, so an absorption fridge is what's often known as a three-way fridge. It runs on 12 volt off your alternator, never runs on the battery, regularly misunderstood. So it runs off your alternator, runs off the gas, and runs off the mains hookup. They've been around for donkey's years. Most motorhomes have been fitted with them forever. A compressor fridge is a 12 volt fridge and runs off the battery. And is a totally different technology. And the main benefit of a compressor fridge is it will work in temperatures like in here. In a very hot, it's hot in here. If you're listening, it is boiling in here. And it will work in a high temperature. So an absorption fridge will struggle to work over about 29, 30 degrees. And that's why people are often fitting fans behind the top vent to push the top air out, because they work by absorption. So the air circulates around and it needs to pull the warm air out of the fridge and throw it out the top vent and suck cooler air in from the bottom vent. That's how an absorption fridge works on gas. A compressor fridge works irrespective of the temperature. The downside of a compressor fridge is they draw loads of power. So they will flatten a lead acid leisure battery in a couple of days easily. So the fix is normally fit a solar panel or consider a lithium battery upgrade, and they'll run for much longer without being hooked up, so the charging system is recharging the battery or receiving a charge from the sun, which would be a challenge today. Despite being hot in here, it's pretty cloudy outside. So if you've got a compressor fridge, consider a solar panel, a portable one or one permanently on the roof. Another downside is the noise. So an absorption fridge is pretty silent. Just outside you can just hear a little rumble, but inside on a compressor fridge it could keep you awake. So they have a sleep mode, a little crescent moon shape. You can press that. They work far less efficiently but much more quietly, enabling you to sleep. And normally you press that button and it will stay in sleep mode for about 8 hours and then revert back to its normal operating mode, assuming that we're back into daytime and it's heated up again. I hope that explains it.
And so, what about efficiency between the two of them? If you want to keep your cold drinks colder, which is the one you'd go for?
That's a good question. We've got an absorption fridge in our van and it's really cold all the time unless it gets really hot, and that's when the compressor fridge wins the day. So they both can work effectively provided it's not very hot. So if you're going to southern Spain in July and August, a compressor fridge is going to win, because an absorption is going to struggle, but they both work very effectively. The benefit in absorption is you've got a choice of fuel source. You've got the engine, you've got gas, and you've got electric hookup. Whereas a compressor, you only have 12 volt.
And what about the price when you're buying your first one?
Yeah, you can direct replace one with another now. Lots of people have done that, and they are comparative on price. The issue is actually about supply. So absorption fridges are in short supply, can take 6 to 9 months to come at the moment. Dometic have got more coming, they're running out. Thetford do a compressor fridge which replaces their absorption fridge, and there seems to be lots of stock around.
Why is there such a waiting list then?
I think more manufacturers are putting compressor fridges in motorhomes at the moment, so there's lots of them in the UK and in Europe ready for conversion. So Bailey have just started converting to compressor fridges in their caravans, for example. That's a new venture for them. Lots of van converters are now using compressor fridges, and 12 volt systems have been totally reinvented in recent years with lithium batteries, with solar, and it's all coming down in price. So I'd say if you're building a van and considering a fridge, I would definitely consider a compressor fridge.
We could do with a compressor fridge in here at the moment.
Could we
Any
sit
chance
in
of
it?
opening the side door? I know it was a bit noisy before, but I'm sure it's not just me that would like to take a deep breath. Okay, another question from the floor. We've got two to come. This gentleman here in the striped top.
Thank you. Jonathan from Cardiff. We're following on from the last question, actually. We're looking to sort of get a van built. And we're starting to find that a number of manufacturers of these bespoke vans are just purely have electric-only vans rather than having gas appliances. Something we've never even sort of considered. But the way we like to travel is sort of, probably 2 or 3 days off grid. Our present, T5 copes adequately with that. But if we're having sort of, electric cooker, electric oven, obviously fridge, with the modern technology, can it cope with that for, say, 2 or 3 days off grid?
Yeah, so that is about having an adequate 12-volt system to run those appliances. So they can, yes, provided you've got sufficient amount of amp hours in your battery stock. So if you're running lithium, for example, it will run for a much longer time than a lead-acid battery. So a 100 amp hour lead-acid battery only lasts about 50 amp hours, whereas a lithium battery lasts for about 85 or even 95 amp hours.
Is there an easy way of calculating that?
No, and I'm not going to bore you with it now. It's Ohm's law. But basically my point is the lithium battery will run for a lot longer. So that's really the consideration. If you want to go off-grid, you need to be considering the power you need and can you keep supplying that from your battery bank. There has been a big move to non-fossil fuel camper vans, and it's a really great environmental thing to do, using cleaner energy, i.e. from the sun, and it's ultimately, I think, where we're going to go. Lots of people tell me I'm wrong, that gas will always be a factor. Cala are introducing a clean gas, which is non-fossil fuel, and there's a plant already in production. We talked about it very recently, didn't we, Keith, on the podcast? So there may be a clean gas alternative, which might mean you have an option for a gas heating system or gas hob that is non-fossil fuel. But it's one of the changes in our industry which is very nerdy and I find very exciting, and it's a great time to be alive. It's the same with the drive chain. Electric vans, EVs are coming. Our industry, I believe, has its head firmly in the sand over this. We're just not embracing it, we're not gearing up for it, and I think, at the moment it's just not viable for us, or it feels very unviable. So there's another huge change. And will we be able to run everything in the van off of the main battery that's running its powertrain? I don't know, we'll see. Probably, but there's a lot to happen before that can occur.
There's always, isn't there, a penalty tax to pay for being an early adopter with this technology. In 5 years' time, we'll be having these conversations, or 10 years' time, and the batteries will be a lot more efficient, and the outboard gear will be a lot more efficient, and we'll be wondering why we were worrying about it. But actually now, when people are knocking on your wallet, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it all comes at cost, doesn't it? Especially with early adoption, as you say. And new technology is coming. Sodium batteries are coming. Hydrogen is going to happen. I didn't believe it, but it is going to happen. As soon as that our governments can figure out a way to tax us for it, it will happen, he said cynically.
Very true, very true. This gentleman over here wanted to ask a question. Gentleman in the black top.
Okay. My name is Peter Thomas from Bridgend, South Wales. My question is regarding the C1 licence and the weights of the motorhomes. Now, there was talk in the industry that they were on about upgrading the 350 up to the higher one, which is going to happen in Europe sometime next year. So why isn't our government willing to do the same? Because the palaver you have to go through to increase your licence to a C1 after the age of 70 is ridiculous. It took me nearly 7 months for them to do it with the DVLA, refusing, sending things back and forth, and it was pretty straightforward.
So you are absolutely right. This is being debated in the EU Parliament right now. Well, probably not today, it's Saturday. They don't get paid enough to work.
Or next Monday, or I don't think they get together before next Thursday.
Hopefully. It's called the Fourth Directive, and of course we are no longer part of the EU, and the consideration, lots of changes to the licence going digital. The big one is making the B licence 4250 kilograms. So we will all be able to drive 4250 kilograms. Now, in Europe, if you're European, that's true. The UK government then have to debate that fourth directive and decide to adopt it in full or in part. And I had the great honour at the Malvern show just a couple of weeks ago to give a talk on this fourth directive. And I presented the idea to Warners, and they agreed that I could give this talk because it's a massive issue. The room was packed, wasn't it, Michael? It was absolutely standing room only. And we had a really good session, and we recorded it. And it's going to come out on the podcast in the next week or so. So from after we've recorded this. So stay tuned, because I unpack all of the changes being discussed. We're at stage 7 of 10 in the whole process. There's another debate to happen, and then adoption. And then the UK government need to consider whether they'll adopt it. I think they will. I hope they do.
And the thing is, even though we've Brexited, we're now the smaller partner, and we've got the whole of Europe on our doorstep. So if they do make changes, if companies in this country who are manufacturing or supplying to the continent, they're going to have to meet those standards anyway. So isn't it just going to be a question of assimilation over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's more the fact that Europeans manufacture and send to us here, rather than us Brits exporting. That doesn't really happen very much with motorhomes and caravans. There's a lot more European motorhomes here than there are British ones in Europe. So the Europeans will just start manufacturing them at 4250 motorhomes, this is, because think how much kit they can put on them then. They can flood them with lithium batteries. We can actually start using domestic appliances in our motorhomes running on 240 volt inside. What change that would be. And then this whole absorption fridge, compressor fridge, you just have a normal electric fridge. And you go to a brand like Morello, one of my favourite motorhome brands. If you see one, go and have a look inside, unless you're on a campsite, maybe knock the door first. But at a show, if you see one, they're phenomenal. All the appliances are 240 volts running off 12 volt batteries. It's amazing. They've got dishwashers in, tumble dryers, but you're spending £500,000. Now, they are heavy vehicles, they're 8 tonnes. But 4250, we can have much more equipment, and we are demanding more and more from our motorhome holidays. So yeah, the change I think would be really positive, and I think it would be daft, it would be ludicrous if we don't adopt the change.
Could there be the nightmare scenario though, we don't change, and you do have a gap of a year or two?
No, because we could still upgrade to C1. You still have to take the test, or if you've got grandfather rights, then you're okay. If you took the test before 97, you've got the C1.
That's grandfather rights.
That's right, yeah. So, and then you lose it when you turn 70, and that's the bigger issue in our marketplace, with so many of us turning 70 and losing it, and having to have a medical to get it back. And all of that stuff is looking at being changed. So how the medicals are done, how long the licence lasts for, there's talk of it being extended to 15 years, not 10, but a medical at every renewal. So my licence is due to renew in a few years' time. I would have to go through a medical. So it's a big topic. Check it out when it comes out. Or just Google EU 4th Directive driving licence. You can read about it for yourself.
Well, I'm learning a lot. Don't know about anybody else. Anybody else got a question for me? This gentleman here.
Just gentleman down here. Waiting a while.
Oh, this gentleman here.
I was just wondering if, with an automatic transmission, should you break down, can he be towed? For example, if you got stuck on a muddy field, could they tow you? Years gone by, I understand you weren't allowed to tow automatics. Thank you.
Now, this is the thing, isn't it, Matt? I used to live in America. I lived in America for a long time. And everybody drives automatics there. If you go what they have called a stick shift, a gear lever, you're the odd one out. And then you come over here and hardly anybody drives automatics. And I know there's a lot more in motorhomes, but there's a lot of urban myths surrounding them. So can you clear this one up? Can it be towed or not?
Put it in N and yes you can. Unless it's a Mercedes A1. So the tiny little Mercedes. We had one, well, this was true my experience, maybe it's different now. We had an A1 Mercedes tow car, and I bought it to convert to a towed car, and was told I couldn't. So maybe you've had a different experience with the little Mercedes people car, or little 4-seater A1 it's called. The A-Class, I was told I couldn't tow that in neutral. But in a motorhome gearbox you can. As long as it's in N, and it doesn't mean night mode.
Neutral.
Yeah.
You disengage the gearbox from the...
It's like the guy that said it doesn't work at night. I put it in night mode, it doesn't drive. It's fine indeed.
I'm not going to tell you what I did in P mode. So this gentleman over here.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mike Osmond from Gosser. Going back to lithium batteries, will we have the same problem in 20 years' time about recycling lithium batteries?
Yeah, that's a big topic now, isn't it? Lithium phosphate 4 batteries are the batteries that we're using in motorhomes and can be easily recycled. And there's massive developments in this globally on recycling lithium batteries. And yes, they can be recycled and reused, repurposed. I'm actually following quite a few nerdy podcasts on EVs because it fascinates me, and it's fascinating how worldwide the number of businesses that are repurposing batteries from Tesla to homes for storing electricity. And storing electricity is something that our kids are going to do very naturally.
Can I just say that I've got solar panels in a battery?
We know, and you're obsessed with them. He doesn't stop talking about his solar panels. So yes, recycling is an issue now. So 20, 30 years ago, we all went to the supermarket with a paper bag, and we picked up a box from the back of Fine Fare, for the youngsters in the room. It was an absolute trip hazard nightmare, wasn't it, getting out the tills? Do you remember? There was all the piles of cardboard boxes, and you could help yourself. It was brilliant. Now, they take them away and flat pack them and put them in landfill, probably. So it's a different way of shopping. It's the same with batteries. I think we will look back at what we're doing with batteries now, what we believed about batteries now, and laugh, because I think we will repurpose them in a different way in the future. I hope so, and I'm pretty certain that's true.
Well, 6 months, a year ago, we were talking about leap forward in sodium battery technology. Anything come of that?
Not that I've heard yet. There are developments in the US, and the issue with sodium batteries is mining it and creating it, and actually creating salt from the sea, turning it into a battery, and taxing it. And that, I believe, is the reason this technology doesn't develop as quickly as it could. But then, as I said earlier, I'm a cynic. But I think once a way of taxing water is established, I mean, look at what's happening with electricity now. You know, if you've got an EV car, you're about to pay road tax. It's been free for years, isn't it? So once governments have figured out a way of monetising how we live our lives, then it will get pushed.
But, a lot of street lights and hospitals, and road services are funded through things such as the fuel duty. And if people are going over to EV, as this government have been talking about in the last 2 weeks, they're going to have to start thinking about charging you per mile. Like how much? Because if we go over to EV by 2030,
yeah.
What about the fuel duty?
Well, the move to EV, the ZEV mandate, Keir Starmer has said that he is going to reintroduce the 2030 date, even though it wasn't in the King's speech. He said that he was going to bring it back forward. That makes sense? From 2035 to 2030. Remember, this is only new vehicles. That means your diesel-powered Fiat Ducato motorhome is going to go up in price, because 70% of new vans have to be zero fossil fuel. Otherwise, the manufacturer is going to pay £18,000 per van for every diesel they build.
No, the manufacturer won't pay it.
The manufacturer's going to pay it. Well, we'll end up paying it. Their fine is 18 grand per vehicle. That's a lot of money, isn't it? So I think our diesel vans are going to go up in value again. So we have this big debate about pricing at the moment, and it's insane, isn't it, post-COVID? And prices are under pressure, but stick with it, because it's like the housing market. The prices are going to rocket again, wait and see. And there will be this parity between diesel and EV. I don't think EV's coming down. I think the value of diesel, because of ease of the fact that we can go 500 miles in a day, I know we never do, but we want the right to do it, means we want our diesel vehicle. And that's a big debate for the move to EV. But I think there's going to be some price parity coming about.
Yeah, I just recently upgraded my car and used to have a diesel, Volvo diesel, very happy with it, great car, but now I bought a car as a petrol car. I haven't gone EV because I didn't trust the second-hand market. I didn't, even with BMWs, which give a 10-year guarantee on the batteries, I didn't trust it. Not that I don't trust that company, I do. It's just that, my trust in technology has been shaken in the past. So we're heading towards that 2030, aren't we? I've changed this car. Now, I'm not the sort of person that changes my car on a whim. I keep the things for 10 years. So I'm guessing my next car will probably be electric. But when it comes to motorhomes or campervans, what's going to happen there?
Well, we're a long way from adopting it. As I said earlier, I think our industry is just not focused on it. I don't see any innovation. I've been out to Germany to a huge show, Caravan Salon. If you ever get a chance to go, it's amazing, it's massive. And there was some innovation there, but it was literally in corners of the hall. And the big innovation has seemed to be, at the moment, these big off-road tyres and high suspensions, and an ability for a motorhome to go off-road. Probably it will go up and down a curb, as off-road as it will get, or down a dusty track to a campsite. They're not going to go out to the Sahara. So that seems to have been the innovation. I just don't think there's a move yet toward EV. It will have to happen, and it will happen. And we will look back in 30 years' time, and we'll see the change, of course. But at the moment, we're a long way from it.
I suppose my point is that in the next 5 or 10 years, are the motorhomers going to be penalised because of this lack of innovation?
No, I think we'll just have to buy a used diesel. I don't think you'll be able to buy a new one because they will all be electric, because the manufacturers have been forced to make new vehicles as electric. The new vans that come to our market will be electric. Diesel will be around for a whole of our lives. I've only bought a couple of brand new motorhomes in my time. I've always bought second hand. Let someone else have all the first niggly problems and taking it back to the dealer 10 times in the first year, as often happens, and then I'll get it all fixed. So I will continue probably buying a used diesel motorhome unless the electric one is at a compelling price, but I don't think it will be.
So the message is whatever you've got now, look after it.
Look after it. It's going to go up in price. Of that I'm sure. I mean, I may be wrong. We're recording this, so let's listen back in 20 years. But do you agree? Do you think they're going to go up in price? Lots of people nodding, and they all own diesel motorhomes, so of course you agree.
Any more questions?
I'm sorry to go backwards. It's Jo from Shanley Green again. You were saying about being able to tow a motorhome that's automatic. What happens if it's got a comformatic gearbox? Can that be towed?
So that's still a manual gearbox with an electronic gear change. So as long as it's
is that the paddly ones?
No, it's still a gear stick that changes the gears, but it's robotised. So the gearbox inside is still manual. So long as it's in N, you can tow it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This lady at the back here.
I'm Lynn from Modbury in South Devon. We have an electric camper van. We love it. We've just done 5 weeks on the continent in it. So if anyone's interested in asking questions about electric camper vans, we've got one. It's great. Absolutely wonderful. I would never get a diesel one.
Yeah, see, Keith, Lynn's like you with your solar panels. Well done, Lynn. I was talking to Lynn outside, and yeah, it's all electric. And it's possible. It does happen.
So Lynn, if you could just choose one or two things which made you fall in love with it, why is it so fantastic?
It's fantastic because there's not a single rattle. The comfort of driving it is amazing. It's so much cheaper on fuel. We can cook on it. We've got a solar panel that charges the leisure battery only, not the traction battery. But it's just so simple. We haven't got to carry gas. We haven't got to carry diesel heaters. It's a simple version. We've got a 100 amp hour battery. We've got a Renogy kilowatt inverter. It's enough. You're not having to go to the huge batteries. You're not having to go to a lot of the equipment that the big camper vans and motorhomes have. It's the simplicity of it we like.
There's a gentleman over here. Yes, who wanted to ask a question?
I believe we have time for one more.
Hi, Tim from Chichester. Twice we've talked about the weight problems of motorhomes, and a lot of motorhomes are built to come under the 3.5 tonnes so they can sell them to the people without grandfather rights on their licences and to whatever. Now, if you're driving a vehicle that is downgraded to 3.5 and you get nicked by HM Constabulary because you're overloaded, presumably you are nicked because you are now an unsafe vehicle because you're overweight. However, with a paperwork exercise only, you could be upgraded well. So how does that work out?
So it's not necessarily the case, it's always the case you can be upgraded with a paper exercise. Sometimes you need to have accessories fitted to the van to enable that to happen. but many are capable of going to 3,650 or 3,850. The issue here is about the derogation of the vehicle, and it's registered at 3.5 tonnes, and that's the maximum you can drive it at. If you're over that, on the V5 it will say 3,500. If it weighs 3,900, so you're overweight, and that's the issue. You might get 10% allowance, that's quite generous, so it's down to the copper on the day. So they can ask you to go to a weighbridge, and the fine might be linked to the capability of the VIN plate of the vehicle. So the vehicle said, I can go to 4 tonnes because it's got 16-inch wheels, it's got suspension that's capable, and it says on that's a slam panel 4 tonnes, then maybe the VOSA officer that's going to end up looking at it might be lenient. But you are only registered at 3.5 tonnes, so you are overweight. And this links back to what we were talking about earlier, where if you upplate to 4 tonnes and you are driving at 4 tonnes, the DVLA have chosen not to update the V5 to convey that to the authorities. So the WIMS cameras, the weight and motion sensors, we've talked about them before, they will weigh you as you go over those wires on the road. Camera snap your picture, it says that's a 3.5 tonne vehicle weighing 4 tonnes. You are registered at 4 tonnes, the cameras don't see that. You are likely to get a letter or worse, pulled over, and you could be fined. And this is an argument that we're going to start having to have with authorities because of this change at DVLA. So again, listen to this future episode that we'll have on this because we're following this very closely. What's been interesting is how far flung you are. So there's no one here that said Somerset. We've got Chichester, Essex, Devon, Dorset. It's great, isn't it? People come from all over the country to this show. I love it. I think it's brilliant. Have you enjoyed the show so far? Yeah. Excellent.
Right, we've got time for one last quick question if you want to ask it. Anybody want to ask a question? No? Okay, Matt will therefore now start. Oh, sorry, over here.
We have to make it very brief.
Yeah, make it very brief. I thought Matt was going to do his tap dancer, but clearly we won't have time for that now.
Yeah, Jonathan again from Cardiff. But yeah, just a quick one. If we, if we do decide to have gas on our new van, what's the difference between having a gas bottle and an underslung gas tank?
Okay.
And is an underslung tank easy to get filled as you travel?
Well, that's the difference. A gas bottle, if it's a Cala bottle, can be exchanged anywhere that sells Cala gas. An underslung tank needs to be refilled at a refill point. You need to go and get the mylpg.eu app to find all the refill locations. If there's one conveniently close to where you live or where you like to go on holiday, great. If there isn't, don't do it. Consider a gas bottle. Around us, there are no refill points. It's a nightmare. They are slowly disappearing because gas-powered cars don't really exist anymore. Motorhome dealerships are starting to install them, but gas is going, I believe, as I said earlier, it's going to disappear.
Okay, then if we didn't answer your question today, we're very sorry. We will do in a future episode, but people do have the chance.
Yeah, if you haven't asked the question already and you'd like to, maybe one has inspired yours today, please go to mhmp.info/Ask Matt, click the orange button and record it, or fill in the form and we'll read it out for you.
Or you can come round to that leisure shop stand and ask Matt, or leave a question there for him as well. Now, if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory at mhmp.info/approved. I shall repeat that. It's mhmp.info/approved. Motorhome Matt approved are goods and services that Motorhome Matt himself is putting his name to. And if people want to get on YouTube, what do they do?
They can. We'd love it if you watched on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button and the bell, and then the gods of YouTube will tell you when a new episode is released. Brought to you by arabasecreative.co.uk.